Art is everywhere, but we rarely take the time to truly appreciate it. The past 2 summers, I have volunteered at Leahy Hospital with the Health and Wellness Department, where we mostly focus on small things that people can do throughout their day to alleviate stress and encourage mindfulness and self-care. One of the initiatives I focused on was teaching people about how beneficial viewing art can be to their health and well-being. Paintings line almost every hallway at Leahy Hospital. I'd walked past them dozens of times without ever really noticing them. But during my first summer volunteering there, one of my supervisors took me on a walk through the hospital, not for a task, but to look at the art. I was surprised at first. How was looking at art related to my volunteer experience? But then I was amazed. These weren't just decorations. They were thoughtful, emotional, and in some cases deeply personal pieces. I couldn't believe I had spent so much time in the building and never stopped to appreciate any of it. That experience stuck with me. I started researching the benefits of viewing art, and my project that year became creating a brochure that not only cataloged some of the artwork at the hospital, but also highlighted how viewing it could help support mental health and well-being. The following summer, I had the chance to lead my own art tour for a group of junior volunteers. I shared my favorite pieces, like the collages made entirely of Get Well cards in the main lobby, and after each piece, we took the time to reflect. They shared what they felt and what they noticed. Using their reflections, I helped create a video that wove their thoughts together with research on art and wellness. I even got to write a weekly wellness tip for the Health and Wellness Department on how powerful art can be for the brain. And that's what inspired me to be here today and share all of this with you. So, what actually happens when we look at art? Viewing art stimulates the brain by challenging it to organize the visual information that it receives. It doesn't just engage the part of the brain that sees, it also lights up the areas that think, feel, and imagine. Neuroscientists have found that looking at art engages what's called the social brain, which includes regions responsible for understanding people, feeling empathy, and making decisions. In other words, viewing art is like a full brain workout. We are seeing, feeling, thinking, and imagining all at once. And then there's the emotional response. Looking at art increases the amount of dopamine in the body, which is a natural chemical responsible for feelings of pleasure, satisfaction, and motivation. A study conducted at the University College London discovered that when people looked at artwork they found especially beautiful, blood flow to the brain's pleasure center increased by up to 10%. This is responsible similar to what happens when we look at someone we love. Art doesn't just activate pleasure, though. It can pull you into another world entirely. If you immerse yourself in a piece, even just for a brief moment, it can feel as if you're inside it. This is due to a process called embodied cognition, where what you see is translated into feelings and emotions, something especially common with art depicting nature. When we look at art, we don't just think about it, we feel it in our bodies. Our brains respond as if we're actually experiencing what we see, leading to emotions, imagined movements, or even physical reactions like chills, goosebumps, or calmness. These responses happen automatically and are remarkably consistent across people of different cultures and backgrounds. I actually started to notice this effect myself during quiet moments at the hospital. There was one painting that I always passed as I walked through the lobby on my way to check in. It's an abstract painting of nature. There are blue and green tones to represent earth and water, and brown branches that reach out towards the viewer. Sometimes when I entered the hospital, I'd feel overwhelmed or anxious. Maybe I hadn't gotten enough sleep, or maybe I was nervous. Regardless of what was going on or what I was stressed about, I would pause and just look at the painting. I found solace in its beauty, which offered an escape from my own reality. The abstract depiction of nature, to me, symbolized that although nature isn't perfect, it's still beautiful. I'd imagine myself actually inside the painting, running my fingers through the water or sitting on the grass, and almost instantly I would feel more at ease. It wasn't dramatic, but it was real. That moment of stillness became something I looked forward to, a breath of calm to start off a busy day. And I think that's the power of art. Even just looking at it for a moment can change how you feel. But for art to have this power, we need to give it attention. And that's where mindfulness comes in. Viewing art increases mindfulness by encouraging you to slow down and really focus. Taking the time to observe and analyze its details strengthens your mind-body connection and awareness of your surroundings. Engaging each of the five senses as they relate to the art that you're looking at can help you feel more grounded and at peace, something we could all use more of. Neuroscientists have even created a model that maps what happens in the brain during this process, showing that art engages both our senses and our thoughts. To fully experience art, your brain must focus. It pays attention, connects meaning with emotion, and it reflects. That's mindfulness in action. So, how can we invite more of this in our lives? That's easy. Visit museums, view student-made art, look at online galleries, or just look around. Art is everywhere. Even if you only have a few minutes to spare, give art a chance to work its magic. You don't need to be an artist, and you don't need to be an expert. You just need to be present. Thank you.